Okay. We have volume here. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome. And we got a chase for they said the want is a kidnapping. Let me fix the screen here a little bit. Oh, what happened? Hell nah.
The mission is launched.
What the heck? No. Oh my god, they did a commercial break.
Let's go!
What in the hell?
If your cover is blown, there is no saving you.
Special Ops Lioness.
What
Now
the
streaming
fuck?
exclusively on Paramount Plus. Use promo code Lioness for a free month.
I'm a very curious person. I wake up every morning asking what's
Yo,
happening in the
let
world,
me
why
see
is
the
this
app.
happening, and how do we answer that question on the CBS Evening News?
Oh my god.
How would you describe the heart of the people from Lahaina?
So strong.
Where are these coming from?
That's the million-dollar question.
How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there.
You'll have to tell him when he gets older, when you were 2 months old.
He was on the news.
The news doesn't have to always be depressing. It can be uplifting.
It's just begun.
To all the pet project starters, weekend gardeners, rollover
Up
artists,
before about to go
kitchen
live.
out
I cannot
artists,
believe this.
There's a new lifestyle destination for your next inspiration. Bam! Dabble. Go there. Do that.
Available over the air on channel
Hold on, guys.
2.3.
For decades, KCAL 9 has been the Southland's
crazy.
local station for... Well, thanks for joining us here on KCAL
Jesus.
News. We are following a police pursuit right now of a possible kidnapping suspect. This taking place right now in the Whittier area.
Thank
But
you,
we
Snow
know,
Bunny. Appreciate
Tom,
that.
CHP first tried to stop this car over in Orange County. So this has been going for some time now.
Yeah, absolutely. Leslie Marin and Tom White here joining you on this pursuit. And as Leslie said, this is a possible kidnapping attempt, and this driver going pretty quickly at times right now, only about 40 miles per hour in the location. Whittier right now, as you can see the top of your screen, it gives you an idea of the location. We are obviously waiting for a lot of details here. We need to know who's in this car, and is there somebody in this car that's been, kidnapped, or did they try to kidnap the person and then, or we assume it's a person, maybe it could have been an animal, but yeah, and then who's in the car? That's the key, right? Is there one person, two person, is someone being held against their will?
Yeah, here's what's interesting here. We can see that the light overhead is flashing on there. That lets us know that at least CHP is following this person with their own helicopter there. But I am not seeing, as you saw, we took a very wide shot. I'm not seeing any ground units behind this suspect. Many times we know law enforcement pulls out because of safety.
Here we go. I think we're getting a wider shot here.
We're getting a wider shot, but we're not seeing really any units behind this vehicle here. But you can see we are following this
spotlight, like you said,
Yeah, you see the spotlight. So we're following this, what looks like sedan there. It's silver, possibly.
But you raise a good point, Leslie. I mean, we don't often see, with a case like this where if our information that's very preliminary is correct, where you have an attempted kidnapping suspect and the person's taking off, generally you'd have ground units there. Perhaps they're trying to get them into place at this point. So that is curious.
One thing you did mention, Tom, is that there is a light that's shining on that back license plate there. So it makes it very visible for law enforcement to see those numbers, to see that license plate there and possibly connect it with whoever may be driving this. We don't have details on what exactly surrounds.
And he's driving kind of chill. There's no way they're going to let this person go. There's no way. Lisa, thank you so much for the super chat. So sorry for your loss, dear. For your loss, dear friend. Praying for you, her kids, and her family. Thank you. Yeah, I'm kind of out of it. I've been out of it all day, but thank you. I appreciate that.
There we go.
There you go. You see one CHP officer, he's not going lights and sirens here. So you're wondering if two. Now, no lights and sirens, but you wonder.
I wonder, what's going to be their approach for a potential kidnapping? They can't, I know California likes to let things go. They can't let this go. Well, actually, there was one time I thought a child was kidnapped. Didn't we do that one time? There was a child that was kidnapped, and I think they let that shit go. They're like, fuck it. Because I guess they were worried about the safety. Like they wanted They didn't want to get into an accident, I guess. So I guess that makes sense.
Can suspect of this person in there.
Right, because you can't see what they're doing. I mean, obviously, and then to your point, I mean, they could have a weapon in there potentially, but it is interesting to watch how the pacing of the officers following the driver, just because you're not seeing the lights and sirens, as you pointed out, and we do see the chopper has the spotlight on, and now it looks like the driver is being a bit more evasive. It looks like they kind of know they're being pursued. Maybe they didn't before, but I would assume.
All right, is there somebody in the passenger? You see anybody?
Yeah, and we do want to get to retired Sergeant Patrick O'Malley, who we have on the phone.
Is that a
here.
baby? No.
Sergeant
O'Malley,
there's somebody
it looks
in the
like
passenger. Now we can see there are two people in this vehicle. You can see a
Not
passenger there, a driver. What are you
Thank you,
hearing
Gypsy Girl.
from your sources?
Hi, Mel, sending you love. Thank you for the super chat. Snow Bunny, thank you so much for the gifts. Appreciate that.
The odd part about this one is that CHP
Thanks, Carly.
has backed off.
Yeah.
And CHP usually doesn't back off on many pursuits, which leads me to believe that, that there possibly could be a victim in this car. If the original call was the kidnapping, and if they just had their concerns for the victim that is still in the car, that might cause them to back off a little bit and follow by air. As we saw in that last shot, CHP is still there. They still have 2 or 3 units that are behind it, but they just don't have lights and sirens activated. So,
and you make a very good point, Sergeant O'Malley. That's because we are seeing 2 people in that car. We don't know right now if both are considered suspects in this or if one is a victim, but we saw what looks like a passenger in that vehicle very clearly.
Neither gangs are probably an Israeli soldier.
Tinted windows here.
Melissa, thank you for the super chat. It says love
CHP looks like
and
they
hugs,
have
Mel.
pulled
Thank you.
off a bit in this case. What are the dangers to this potential victim? I mean, by pulling off, of course, they don't want to escalate the situation, right?
Yeah, and that's the exact reason that they would be doing that. As you could see in that earlier shot, it was what appeared to be a younger female in the front passenger seat.
Yeah, is she the person?
She was clearly looking up in the air, looking up at the helicopters. So it's really hard to say at this point if she's, a victim, if she's an accomplice, or, if they have someone in the back seat, or, it was just some type of call that somebody called in that it looked like they were trying to kidnap somebody. So I haven't heard anything in terms of the facts of the original call.
Wendy Wobbles, thank you for the super chat.
It's worth noting that CHP is not right behind them with lights.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
It could also be, I mean, and
yeah, they kind of look panicked,
Sergeant
right?
O'Malley, always good to talk to you. It could also be a domestic situation here as well, too, right? I mean, this could be a custodial situation. I mean, there's so many different scenarios here, but it could be a situation where these people could know each other or they could be related. We don't know. There's so many outstanding details here, but the driver only going about 25 miles per hour right now. And then you also have to wonder if this car came all the way from Orange. Are they in a neighborhood that they know, right? I mean, that often happens where people go back to places that they're familiar with. It looks
like that, a really quick time, it looks like this person actually shut off their headlights there. This is a very dark area, so we can still see their brake lights, but we can't see really what is happening here. We also want to be very careful considering this was a possible kidnapping situation.
Lovers quarrel.
Sergeant O'Malley, I mean, do you think CHP will try to come up on this situation now that the vehicle was stopped?
Oh, you did? Prime? I'll check it out. Thank you.
We get information that they've completely terminated everything for, whatever reason they found out or information that they got. But, it's pretty clear now these people are just trying to hide out and see what happens.
I mean, do they think the chopper can't see
it's
them?
hard to see this because you see the trees here. We're in the Whittier area. I think we may be in kind of.
I wonder if they dropped them off or they still got them in the
car. Taking off once again. I can't tell if both people are still inside or if one person got out. You never know. That is the case many times. We see the passenger get out. But again, we don't know if that's the situation here. We couldn't clearly get a good look at this vehicle, but it looks like this driver now using their turn signal, following the rules of the road here. A lot of times we don't see that in a pursuit.
Yeah, and then just the fact that we don't see a close following there, right? I mean, I know we're speculating on that, but the fact that we don't see lights and sirens right up against the car, I mean, Sergeant, you made a good point that there could be an issue here where they're just trying to protect whoever may be in that car, that maybe it's someone that's being held against their will. That's obviously a huge question, but it's interesting that the car stopped, as Leslie pointed out, and then maybe someone got out and then they kept going, but it was a very dark spot there. And maybe that's a police cruiser behind them, but still, again, there's no lights and sirens. So that's I mean, in this situation, Sergeant, do you think when you have someone like this who isn't driving that erratically, do you kind of try to mirror that behavior by not trying to excite them and doing the same thing?
Yeah, and that's the interesting part. CHP likes to chase the vehicles till the termination point, and the fact that they're laying off really says something. And like you said, there's a lot of ways that these kind of calls come about.
This cop car, they're driving right by cop cars.
It could be a victim that calls in, or it could be that somebody sees somebody getting pulled into a car, and like you said, it could be domestic. They could know the person, they might not know the person. So
it's probably a domestic situation,
in terms of what the actual facts of this incident are. But they are in the area, and you can see CHP now as lights and sirens going the other way.
Yeah, we did see CHP lights and sirens the other way, but you make an interesting point, Sergeant O'Malley, because we know that CHP, probably the best trained in pursuits out of many agencies, and you are right, they do like to terminate, a pursuit. They want to follow it all the way through many times, correct?
Yes, they are one of the main agencies in California in terms of the continuing pursuits. They use all their different tactics that they're trained in, and they're confident that they're going to end safely and with minimal risk to the suspects and the community. So it'd be interesting to hear what all the information is on this one. It appears that the suspects or the vehicle must know this area. They seem like they want to stay in this area.
Looks like they got a cell phone there, maybe a GPS or something like that. Look, a couple of cell phones, something like that.
Yeah, I saw that on the dash the entire time. I didn't know if it was almost like an Uber.
Right, that's what I was thinking too.
So bright.
At the same time, it looks like the passenger is still in this vehicle. Am I correct? Can you guys see hands waving on the passenger side?
It seems like it, unless it's a reflection, but you're right. I mean, it looks like from the monitor that we're our vantage point, it does look like there's someone still in there. The question is someone in the back seat too, right? I mean, we really can't see that. Those windows are very tinted. Obviously, the windshield, they can't tint that as much, obviously. So we can see it. We have a clearer view into the front of the car. But yeah, and Sergeant, you pointed out as well, they do seem to be kind of sticking to this area, which does raise that question: are they trying to stay in a neighborhood that they know, and then how does this end? Do they eventually take off? But look, I mean, once again, they've stopped. They're kind of following the flow of traffic. So are they kind of they have to, you can see the reflection of the CHP spotlight there in their window, so they've got to know that they're being followed. But then their reaction to it is kind of interesting, right? Because they're not really actually behaving like they're trying to escape. They're behaving like they're just driving in traffic.
Yeah, Sergeant, this is not normally what we see with suspects. Many times these people are doing whatever they can to get away, and this person following the rules of the road, using their turn signal at some point and stopping at red lights there. You just wonder if,
It almost looked like the front tire might have been flat on the vehicle also. So I don't, what's going on behind the scenes. They still could be planning out some of their different tactics of spike strips or things like that. Or they could just be in a pure following mode.
Right, that's
and
so
they're just going to ride this out until the end and keep the air units up above. And see how it goes.
Well, it's interesting to me because obviously they're pursuing it. They're sort of pulling.
It looked like they were pulling over there.
What's interesting is because you have the car being driven obviously by this person who has to know that they're being followed. But if there's not a unit behind them with lights and sirens on,
thank you.
How does
thank you, Mel. I'm so sorry for your loss. Thank you.
Can't the driver theoretically say, "Well, I didn't know I was being pursued. There's no unit behind me demanding that I comply with pulling over. All I know is there's a spotlight on me." I mean, this is so odd because it's like we've seen authorities pull off of chases before, but then you don't generally see the spotlight staying on the vehicle.
Thanks,
It's a pretty common tactic in this day and age where they initiate a pursuit. It starts to increase in speed, starts to become a little bit more dangerous for the suspects and the community, and they'll just back off. It seems like they're using a couple different tactics these days where they will actually continue to follow without lights and sirens and keep their distance. or they will just pull the units off completely and just follow it from the air. And then they'll keep units in the general area, prepared for when they do pull over. They'll be in the area and they'll be ready to set up a perimeter and attempt to take them into custody.
Interesting. Right now, you can see that driver. He looks like this person looks to be wearing maybe a pretty bright colored shirt, a yellow shirt there. And it looks like that phone that we saw in the dash, they actually have in their hand right now. We know that many times law enforcement has ways to contact these people.
Right.
They have families that will contact them, correct, Sergeant? To try to get them to stop and pull over.
Yeah, and there's another way that this call could have come about is, you have license plate readers throughout many cities now. And so this car could also come back as a possible kidnapping vehicle based on the license plate. So, it could be something that happened, yesterday, last night, a couple days ago.
The passenger.
And they picked up the vehicle for that reason. And then, the agencies that have
they're kind of, I don't know, they're moving all about
the pursuit. Don't actually know all the facts of the original kidnapping, and that's what they're trying to get. So it's just hard to say, and you could tell the female is clearly still in the car and in the front seat.
There's a lot of movement happening in that front seat there. It looks like
maybe
something's being stuffed in a bag. It looked like a lot of movement was happening in that moment. And again, we don't know if there are any weapons or not in this car and just how dangerous these suspects can be. You already know their danger level is to get away, evade police. So
I will say, based on the behavior, though, there we see a pursuing unit there. But I will say, in terms of the behavior of the person sitting in that passenger seat, it does not appear just solely based on a visual. Obviously, lights and sirens, now they're picking up speed. It did not appear that person in the passenger seat was necessarily being held against their will. I mean, they could have been. We don't know. There could be a weapon pointed at them for all I know.
Thank you for the super chat.
It is very difficult to tell. It wasn't as though the person was yanking on the door trying to get out of the car. So it's unclear if this person, I mean, again, we don't know, but I'm just basing this off of what I just saw. Looks like they were putting something in the bag.
It seemed like a pretty calm demeanor there. But
now we see
as you see the driver becoming more evasive, picking up speed here. Going through intersections, riding the median right now. Now that those lights and sirens are on. Do you think that CHP will try to use a tactic now?
No, they're being more aggressive.
Well, in that last intersection, I don't know if you saw that, but they went right through the red light and almost collided with that car. So if it gets to that point where now you're becoming dangerous to the community. You don't have the lights and sirens that are behind it to warn vehicles in the area. They may engage this pursuit again and get all of their units behind it.
Yeah, they seem to be getting much more aggressive, and obviously the driver much more aggressive as well. We're seeing as you both pointed out, zooming through these intersections now, and the speeds. Kind of a little bit manic now. It's going from, the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. The person's driving a little bit more erratically, changing lanes more quickly. Obviously, now there seems to be more of an urgency. We saw the lights and sirens now on in one of the units pursuing. And Whittier, for, folks who might not know the area very well, it's a very, family-friendly city. A lot of... it's a lot
of residential areas.
Exactly. A lot of neighborhoods where there could be kids, although, it's not that late. It feels like it's late because of daylight saving.
Yeah, which is also a difference, which may be why we're seeing a lot of these dark streets. A lot of the street lights aren't set for the daylight saving time. We see that a lot. And many of these areas do seem pretty dark. Again,
Thank you,
it is
Murky.
only what?
Appreciate that.
5:45 here, 5:48.
Yeah.
So that may be why we're seeing a lot of these neighborhoods still pretty dark.
All right, so we're showing you this earlier clip of where it looks like the car, the driver's spinning around there. Okay. Perhaps this is where the driver almost blew through that intersection and almost hit someone. I think. Yep, that's what we're showing you here. Again, to your left is the live picture. In that bigger box is the earlier shot. As we've been saying, that the driver is now behaving more erratically.
Where's the vigilante, right?
Traffic seems to be very... this is definitely a situation that's favoring the suspect, right? This person is able to get through. There's not a lot of traffic Sunday evening. in this part of Whittier. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of other cars on the road. That's a good thing, probably. Potential of an accident maybe a bit lower, but 70 miles per hour certainly is way above the speed limit in this kind of location. Obviously, we're not even on a freeway.
It's residential area.
And Sergeant, what does that mean when
yeah,
this starts to
now,
happen? When they've been kind of taking a more hesitant approach, and now the driver's kind of like right there, blowing through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now what happens? Do they have to take a different position, different tactic?
Yeah, they'll start notifying the surrounding agencies. It's been fortunate that the suspect has basically stayed in Whittier for a while. Mm-hmm. So Whittier PD, LA County Sheriffs, all the surrounding agencies are all well aware of the pursuit, which direction it's going. They'll try to get into certain intersections or on the sides of intersections with their lights to try to give, the traveling community a little bit of notice that this is coming.
Yeah, now this is taking a turn, getting on the 605 there, I believe, going 605 south out of Whittier. We know that this driver came out of Orange County, so you wonder, are they heading back to their direction, or, traffic is going to be a problem for this driver now?
Yeah, Sunday evening traffic can be a real bear, as we know, and any evening traffic can be. And look at this, Leslie. Now he's on the shoulder, it looks like. So the erratic, actually, no, it's just in the HOV lane there. But certainly, wow, really close call there again. So we're seeing the driver take more chances now. We're seeing a lot more erratic driving, and now much more of a determination, it appears, on the behalf of the suspect to try to get out of the area. And also, it seems like there's more units on top of the suspect.
Mm-hmm. Sergeant O'Malley, now that they're on the freeway here, will CHP take a less aggressive stance, given there's so much traffic in this area?
Thank you for the coverage. Wonder how this ends up.
No, they'll probably take a more aggressive stance.
Because
this is where they like the pursuits. They probably had it on the freeway coming up towards Whittier from Orange County. Got into, where you have stoplights, and they were driving real aggressive, and they just decided to back off for a little bit, let it calm down, and it worked. Now they're back on the freeway, and, this is their bread and butter. This is where they like it. They'll set up their different tactics, which might be spike strips or shutting down on-ramps or off-ramps, and they'll take it, until the termination point now.
Man, he is, or the driver, I don't know for sure. It's
hauling ass now.
It might be, but the driver's definitely making some close calls there. Took a really, almost clipped that car as it was going back into the HOV lane, and now taking speeds of almost 9. Now we're crossing 90 miles per hour, getting closer to 100 miles per hour. So this driver taking many more chances, a lot more dangerous than when we started. This started out like with the driver, obeying traffic laws, stopping at stop signs, taking it slow at first, and then now blowing through intersections, blowing through red lights, getting on the freeway now. For those of you just joining us, we are watching a pursuit with Sergeant Patrick O'Malley. This pursuit began in Orange County. The original call was for a possible attempted kidnapping. This started out with basically just the CHP with the spotlight on top of this car for a while. The driver appearing to sort of behave like any other driver on the road, and then things started to intensify with the driver now being pursued much more closely and driving much more erratically.
And Tom, I am getting word from our news desk now that they are hearing from authorities that this may have started all the way in Laguna Beach.
Ooh.
So,
Remy, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate
Beach,
that.
Went all the way up the freeway over to the Whittier area. We were in Whittier for, I would say, 20 minutes there, circling around the city before this driver then got back on the freeway, back on the 605. You have to wonder if they're heading back into that direction. Yep. Are they going back to Orange County? The one thing, Sergeant O'Malley, is we know that CHP knows this area. This is their territory. As you mentioned, they know exactly what to do here. They can close the off-ramps. They can work ahead, correct?
Yeah, and you also have numerous CHP jurisdictions involved. So it started out, in Orange County CHP office. It gets handed off to, Santa Fe Springs, LA County, LA area CHP, and now it'll have a fresh set of cars, fresh set of faces, full gas tanks that'll take it over again, and then hopefully they can just keep riding this out, and the vehicle will eventually run out of gas, or they'll give up.
Right, and we're looking. It'll be curious to see where this person goes from the 605.
Lord.
And again, traffic conditions favoring this driver right now. For the most part, there was a little bit of traffic there, and we are seeing a little more volume now. But
yeah,
for the most part, this driver has really been able to weave in and out of traffic, and taking very, very dangerous maneuvers, coming very close to clipping some of these cars. So, and traveling at speeds of more than 90 miles per hour at times. And then you just have to wonder now what's their end game here?
Yeah, the 605 is going to reach the 405 there, I believe. And you do wonder, where is this driver going to head to next? It looks like they're now weaving in and out.
Thank you for the super chat.
They were in that carpool lane.
Official Spike strip emoji request.
It looks like they're maybe exiting the 605 now here in the down the Norwalk area, right on the South Street exit.
Really cool,
and once again, just weaving in and out through all this traffic, trying to evade CHP. You can see CHP right on the tail of this driver that we believe possibly wanted for some sort of kidnapping situation that started in Orange County.
And then to your point, Sergeant, it looked like for a second the car was almost like on its side. Maybe there is a flat tire.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, he's made a couple turns since I saw that front left tire might be flat, and it does look like he doesn't have full control of the vehicle. So I don't know if they had already, attempted a spike at some time, or he hit a curb or something.
Thanks for the membership,
I don't think he has full control of the vehicle.
Yeah, now going the other direction, took the 605 north. And we know we were just heading south here. We were in Whittier for quite some time. But it looks like this driver may be heading back into deeper LA. So we'll have to see where this person will go. But we have seen at least one passenger in this vehicle. Again, we don't know if that person, as you mentioned, Sergeant, an accomplice or possibly a victim in all of this. We have seen a lot of movement in those two front seats, but the car is pretty tinted, so we haven't really been able to see the back seat, if anyone else is in there. At this point, CHP just trying to keep up with this vehicle that at times went over 100 miles an hour.
And, Leslie, you raised a good point earlier. Remember when we were in Whittier, there was one part where the car kind of stopped and the lights were it was very difficult to see the car. You have to wonder, did they throw anything out of the car? We don't think anyone got out. We couldn't see any movement, but it's possible someone did. But maybe they threw something out. But like you said, they were also kind of messing with stuff in a duffel bag.
Yeah, Sergeant, here, this is a very dangerous situation. This car really riding up against that vehicle here. You saw him almost going at those exact same. It almost felt like that there. Now the driver getting back off the 605, riding the shoulder there to get over that vehicle. Very dangerous situation. As you can see, you mentioned, when it does seem like it gets a little out of control
careening
there.
A little bit, right? And obviously all these poor
wow.
That looked like it almost slammed right into one of those cars. I mean, these poor people out here just driving on a Sunday night, maybe coming home from I keep thinking it's so late, it's only 6 o'clock because of daylight saving. But yeah, I mean, you assume people are going out to dinner, maybe they are returning home, and this is, a Sunday evening, people aren't expecting to have, some car racing up against them or weaving into traffic, weaving in and out. This person now getting back on the freeway, back on the 605 South, it looks like, and taking some much more risky maneuvers that are putting people at risk.
At this point, you have to wonder if this driver even knows what the end game is here, given that they've gotten on and off the freeway, on the 605 North, on the 605 South, just going back and forth here. Again, we know this started out of Orange County, went all the way up to Whittier, and now we're on the 605 as CHP continues to pursue
thank you for the membership. Appreciate that.
Kidnapping suspect. We know at least 2 people in that vehicle, one being the driver, the other a passenger we also saw. We don't know the circumstances surrounding that passenger. Are they a victim in this? Are they an accomplice in this? At this point, we are watching this vehicle just speed down the 605 South.
Right, and it's certainly very dangerous speeds, and we are very concerned about that. So as we continue to watch this, We want to right now welcome our viewers from CBS Los Angeles on Channel 2. This is CBS Los Angeles KCAL News at 6. Also streaming on CBS Los Angeles, and our viewers on KCAL also watching this pursuit that we've been watching since about 5:30. Pursuit beginning in, we believe, Orange County. An attempted kidnapping calls. The preliminary information: this driver now approaching speeds of 100 miles per hour on the 605 South, driving very erratically, very dangerously. We believe there are at least 2 people in the vehicle, and we have Sergeant Patrick O'Malley also with us on the phone, trying to help us analyze what this person is doing, what their end game could possibly be here, and what maneuvers and tactics right now the authorities can take to get this brought to a safe end.
Sergeant O'Malley, we want to bring you in here. We're getting word that this may be Whittier PD now pursuing instead of CHP. So right now, it seems like we're going down the 605. What are you hearing about this situation?
Oh, thank you. Who's this?
Yeah, Whittier PD might have picked it up for a little while when it was in Whittier, but we haven't heard any information about
Janine, I got your PayPal. Thank you. Says our hearts are with you.
So,
Mel, lots of love. JB, thank you.
Now they would have handed this off,
Appreciate that.
off to CHP, and then CHP will transition it through their jurisdictional offices.
Yeah, we're getting word now. CHP, Whittier has asked CHP to take over now that it is their territory here on the freeway. Going down the 605 South through the Long Beach area. 605 will eventually hit the 405 here. We know that this possibly started out of Laguna Beach, possible kidnapping suspect. At some points, we saw authorities just pull back, and that you mentioned, Sergeant O'Malley, was because the situation, you never know what's happening inside the vehicle.
Yeah, that could have, just been precautionary. They may not have had all the facts of the original incident or what had occurred, and if you ended up having a victim in the car with the suspect, they might have just wanted to back off for a little bit, let things calm down for a little bit. And after they exited the freeway into Whittier and that surrounding area, that worked.
Police scanner audio.
Pretty slow. They stopped a couple times. They went into a residential area. And then eventually, once they started picking up speed again, they started putting other lives at risk by running the red lights. Then they re-engaged the pursuit, and that's where we're at back on the 605.
Yeah, now getting off on Spring Street here in the Long Beach area. This is a very crowded area, residential area. I know this area very well, actually. And it looks like this person is, continuing on. We're getting a couple hits here with our service, but of course we'll stay with it. Going about 70 miles per hour through this residential area of Long Beach now.
And Leslie, like you said, you know this area very well. I mean, is this a heavily, is this a neighborhood, a lot of residential activity here? Is this?
Yeah, this is full residential community right now in Long Beach, and so we wonder if Long Beach PD
the way they're just flying through the intersection.
Try to jump in on this, but at this point, because it is fully residential, Sergeant, we have seen CHP pull back at least just a little bit. They're not right on the tail of this vehicle here.
Woman. The suspect is a male, black, 35 to 38 years, wearing a white shirt, black shorts. The victim is a female Asian, wearing a brown shirt, is on the ground, is holding a baby.
Oh, wait.
No weapons involved. It's additional incident 3158.
I think that's probably unrelated. I don't know. I don't know if that's the right scatter or not.
But just let them know that they are in the area.
Well, Dragon, thank you for the gifts. Thank you so much.
And try to make it safer for the community as it proceeds.
And one thing we've been trying to figure out is if this car, like the car is leaning or listing almost, like when some of the angles, so it's a little bit difficult to tell. Obviously, not the conditions you want to see someone driving 90 miles or 100 miles per hour in. This is a residential area. This driver now kind of stuck in traffic, so it'll be interesting to see if police try to use that to their advantage, right? Because on the freeway, it's been kind of open road for this person, not a lot of obstruction, so it's been easy for this car to just kind of have their way and go as quickly as they seem to be wanting to go.
Suspect 1131 West 71st Street. Suspect neighbor son, male, white, wearing a gray shirt, gray pants, armed with a knife, hitting PR's vehicle. Hitting parent's vehicle.
That's something else.
PR advises parents have a restraining order against the suspect, possibly suffer some mental illness. Code 2 incident 3170 RD 1245.
Damn, I don't know if that's related or not.
Thinking you turn right there in the middle of the intersection. But yeah, that big bright light, as you were mentioning, police can see that license plate, make it very easy for them to see. They're going down this area of Long Beach here on Los Coyotes, and it looks like they're trying to turn back because they probably don't know where they are.
Yeah.
But as you saw, they just went right past that intersection there. And again, we don't know how many people are in this vehicle. We know at least 2. You have the driver, the passenger, making their way all the way from South Orange County over to Whittier. And we're now going into about 30 minutes since we've been over this. But if it started in Orange County, we picked it up in Whittier. It's been going for quite some time here.
Yeah, and the question becomes, too, well, if it started in Orange County, then why was the driver then, did they know they were being pursued? Because we picked it up sort of when it was in Whittier, so we're not exactly sure. And it was for our viewers who haven't been following it, the very beginning, it was not an erratic chase. The driver almost appeared as though it was just driving through traffic like a normal driver, not that it was being pursued. And so then, you wonder, were they trying to sort of just play the whole thing off and just kind of melt into traffic to sort of get police off their backs? Police were not running lights and sirens initially. They were taking a very cautious approach. Now we look like we're heading into a neighborhood.
Yeah, we're going straight into a neighborhood here. It doesn't look like CHP is right on the tail, but of course you do have the helicopter overhead. You have the chopper there. These are very narrow streets. You can see they're pretty dark residential areas. What move this driver is going to make, we don't know at this point.
Using a turn signal and stopping at the stop sign.
Yeah, not something we saw earlier.
Right.
Yeah, they were flying through the intersections earlier.
They were going through the community of Whittier, just trying to bypass all the drivers, especially on the freeway there. You have to wonder what is the end game for this driver, because they look like
they're slowing
at this
down.
point they don't know where they are, where they're going, but they're just trying to get away from officials, which is going to be very difficult given that they're not giving up. The helicopter is still overhead. They want to follow this through, and they want to make sure everyone remains safe, but they want to get this person into custody as well.
Sergeant, have you ever been there at the end of one? I would just love to know, what do these suspects tell you when you're putting them in handcuffs and they've taken you on a 2-hour-long pursuit?
Well, some of them just, they've been to jail many times, and they know that this is their last taste of freedom, and every once in a while, one will get away, and they just hope that they're that one lucky person that gets away. A lot of times, especially when they go on this long, and so many agencies are involved.
Gray and black, large husky on the balcony. Bunch of comments for additional code citizen 3182
so they know.
Pup Scan said that I need to listen to CHP. I wonder if this is what that is. This is major. Make sure we get the right scanner audio. CHP.
You see this vehicle, every time the officers get close to it gets up to 100 miles an hour, they back off and it slows down a little bit. They clearly don't want to stop. They appear like they're just completely lost and have no idea where they are.
Yeah. And, I wonder, too, if there is some damage to the front of that vehicle, will we start to see some sparks? Will we start to see some evidence of that potential damage that we're all kind of curious that it might have?
Yeah, he's been driving a long time on what we thought was flat tires. So maybe it just has low air pressure too.
Yeah, because it does look like it's listing almost like it's.
Yeah, every
careening,
time it turns, you kind of see it give out just a little bit. Driving on the wrong side of the road now. We know Long Beach PD now stepping in to follow this vehicle. We did see these lights and sirens pretty close behind, but now it looks like they too have backed off, because every time law enforcement comes right behind this vehicle with lights and sirens, it just picks up speed and starts to make very dangerous maneuvers. Going through this remote industrial area now. This is a very industrial area here, actually. Not much neighborhood or homes here. You are near the Long Beach airport. And so kind of riding on the 405, on the side of the 405 in this area.
Well, and to your point, it's probably, in some ways, better, obviously, to be in the industrial area. But as you pointed out, Leslie, with the units kind of pulling back, probably they do that as you get into these residential areas, right? So you don't want to upset the suspect even more and have them speed and drive more erratically than they already are. If there are people, in intersections crossing through a crosswalk, or, then this person decides to blow right through, as we've seen them do several times.
I could say they just passed what looked like a patrol car there.
Well, that's clearly running a red light there.
Yeah, running a red light and just turning right in front of a vehicle that was stopped there. Again, we are following what started as a possible kidnapping out of Orange County. CHP then followed this driver all the way up to the Whittier area, where that driver continued to maneuver through the residential areas of Whittier for about 25 to 30 minutes there, at times making very drastic and dangerous maneuvers. Here, the driver is now through the Long Beach area, right near Long Beach Airport.
Well,
Long Beach
chase us,
PD
right?
was
Then we got
behind this
him.
driver for some time.
Not the best
Tom,
day, but
inside that vehicle, we know there is a driver we've seen there, as well as a passenger. We don't know if that passenger is an accomplice in this or if they are a victim in this. We don't know the information yet surrounding that potential kidnapping, but this area is going to be very difficult. This is, as you can see, it's right near the airport area, right? So we're trying to see if this vehicle comes out on the other side of the tunnel. There you go. You see it there once again. We haven't actually seen officials make any maneuvers like spike strips or try to pit this vehicle, because anytime they get close, this driver takes off and makes very dangerous maneuvers.
Right. I mean, when it started, it was interesting just because there were no police units, not even just driving with lights and sirens off. There were just no units pursuing it at all. Sergeant, when you have a situation like this, and if our information is correct, and this is a potential kidnapping suspect, does that also create a whole other level of caution, or maybe the opposite, because you have someone who potentially tried to do something, so allegedly violent, that you have to make sure that you do get this person eventually and arrest them?
Yeah, and it depends on the kidnapping factors also. If they had a gun and they tried to kidnap somebody with a gun, especially in that case, it probably takes out the pit maneuver in a way. They've just been really non-aggressive, which is a little bit odd for CHP in terms of what's pursuit. So they probably have more information than we know, and it almost just appears that they want to let this vehicle run out of gas or pull into an area, and get out of the car, and then they'll try to take them into custody then.
And Sergeant, we know that could take hours. We've seen it before, right?
Follow up and route to Central Station with one.
Yeah, it just depends on how much gas they have.
TT Cross, thank you for the super chat. Says, "No, sorry for your loss, sending love and
wouldn't
hugs."
have a full tank of gas, but they've already been going for probably at least an hour when it started down in South Orange County. So they continue to keep the helicopters up above, and I'm sure there's units that are flagged out behind.
Yeah,
and they're just riding this out.
And Sergeant, you bring up a good point, because they are backing off a lot. They are not being aggressive in this. It makes you think, is there a victim involved in this? Is that victim in that vehicle? Because we haven't seen any drastic moves made by CHP yet in this.
Yeah, that really would explain everything. If this was somebody, they got a call that this person pulled a female into a vehicle, and Good Samaritans followed and provided the information, and then police were able to get in behind it. And they just have not got any other information except that there's a possible victim in the car. That would explain precisely how the tactics that they're using right now.
Upscan tweeted,
and just following.
He said, per CHP, no, do not pursue on the streets, only on the freeway. They can go in pursuit.
We do have some video from earlier
Do not
of the
pursue
two,
on the streets
a pretty
only.
tight shot of both people. There was a passenger and a driver.
Only on the freeway.
It's impossible to know what's going on inside the car, but all we could sort of see was them ruffling around with either a bag, putting something in. So, but this person in the passenger seat could have been under duress. They could have been following the orders of the driver potentially, right? Or maybe the passenger's the one in charge. We don't know. I mean, there's so many questions here about who may be involved in this and who could be in the car. Yeah. And we obviously don't know what is in that vehicle, right? I mean, there could be no weapons. There could be weapons. We don't know. And there was a point where they stopped and were going very slowly in Whittier in a very dark area. Who knows? Maybe they tossed something out of the car.
Sergeant, have you heard anything about weapons possibly? Take a look. You saw several law enforcement officers there, several police officers that it looked like they were staged to maybe
block
traffic.
Oh, thanks for coming.
Have you heard anything about any weapons in this case?
No, I haven't. And it goes back to what Tom had said earlier too. Even if it's a simple domestic case, a boyfriend, girlfriend, and he forced her into the car, and now they just don't want to have to deal with authorities. It could be something as simple as that, and that's why there still could be a lot of unknowns with the facts that are being relayed to the law enforcement agencies. So right now they have it right where they want, right where they want it to be. Nice slow speeds, 40, 50 miles an hour, going through red lights slowly, and then now they're going to get back on the freeway again.
And it looks like right now there are no ground units pursuing this vehicle at this point. There is still the air unit. You can see the spotlight still shining on that car. And once again, it looks like there's a cell phone or some sort of electronic device being used in the vehicle. Obviously, we don't know if that's someone communicating or using a GPS, but obviously someone in there is using some sort of electronic device, smartphone or an iPad or something like that. And what they're using that for, of course, we can't be certain, but they may be trying to figure out where they are. It looked like, as you pointed out, Leslie, did not look like, and same with you, Sergeant, it looked like this person did not know where they were when they were in Long Beach. They were driving much more erratically than they were in Whittier. It was more deliberate, it felt like, in Whittier. Like they actually kind of knew the streets, but that was just based on sort of the behavior of the driver there.
And Sergeant, the advantages of just using the helicopter right now as opposed to these ground units, is it because every time a ground unit comes behind this vehicle, they just start to do something so dangerous, putting other people in jeopardy here?
Yeah, there's really no reason at this point to have the ground units right behind it. They probably have, maybe as many as 3 law enforcement agency helicopters between CHP, Orange County, LA County Sheriffs, and then some of the other agencies. So they have plenty of air support. They have plenty of ground units that'll be in the area when it comes to the termination point. So they appear to just be content to let this thing ride out, and until they step it up again by running red lights or putting the community more in danger, then they'll just keep it at this pace.
And I think that's the important thing, because many times we come over these to alert the community in these areas, especially when they go through residential areas, but just the danger that it poses to other drivers, other people. Obviously, this person, we know, has broken many laws now by not stopping, but the danger that it can pose to the other drivers on the roadway, and when they go through residential areas, the pedestrians. At this point, we're seeing this vehicle, this driver here, again following the rules of the road. Right. No one's behind this person, no one's behind this vehicle, and it looks like they think
they're blending in, right?
It seems like they may think they're blending in at this point.
Yeah. And to your point, too, not only is it dangerous for the pedestrians and stuff, but what about, when other people try to intervene? Have you ever spoken with a driver, Sergeant, who, was trying to help the police, which of course you guys always say, please do not do that. Don't put yourself in that situation. But have you spoken to sort of the so-called, maybe, I don't know a better word for a good Samaritan who's trying to help police, trying to do the right thing, but obviously putting themselves at risk?
Yeah, several times. Everybody wants to be a hero. Everybody wants to help out. So, you'll see some of these where somebody will have a big truck or something like that, and they'll just kind of slowly put their brakes on or nudge them over, and they just know that if they can kind of push them off to the side and get them to slow down and give up, then, everybody ends up safe. The officers go home and the suspects go to jail uninjured. So that, everybody wants that ending. Just a matter of how people decide that they want to help or not help.
We just saw this driver go right past a CHP vehicle. And the thing is, we were talking about, Tom, this person looks like they're trying to blend in at this point. But we all know, watching this, that, hey, that CHP patrol car, that officer in there, they know exactly what's happening. They're probably giving them the guidelines, hey, stand down right now because we got it from the air.
Yeah, that's exactly it. They're just, now they're heading back up to the area that they were in before. So, they have all the same agencies and a lot of the same units that are going to be involved in it again. And, each shot where they make turns or head back in the opposite direction, there's still the police units that are there. They just don't have their lights and sirens on. So they're just riding this one out for whatever reason. We'll probably learn that later. But for now, it's all about safety.
Is there also a tactic to kind of lull these people into a sense of, we've gotten away out, but obviously you have the spotlight over them, so they probably have to know they're still being pursued. But is the idea also maybe just to get them to just calm down?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
Ice
and
cold audit.
early on in the pursuit, we saw them
He's following the chase?
up
Oh,
through the
snap.
window to see, is somebody above us? And the light is obviously clear as day, and that's what they're using right now to kind of notify the surrounding public also. People can see that spotlight coming up from behind them off to the side. So they're just using that to kind of warn everybody. And then, it makes people feel like they kind of maybe they got away a little bit. They don't see the lights and sirens behind them. They don't hear the sirens. So they think, well, maybe it's just somebody up above. We can get away from them, and we'll just keep cruising along, and that's what they're doing.
And we know the priority for law enforcement is to make sure that surrounding drivers, surrounding community are safe. They don't want to put other people in jeopardy, although this vehicle, this driver obviously is, as they are, it looks like they're possibly getting off the freeway here.
Really fast, though.
At Rosecrans, possibly getting off the 605 at Rosecrans here. We'll have to see what the next move is, but we know that obviously for law enforcement, they want to make sure that they're able to de-escalate these situations.
Yeah, that's exactly what they've done in this pursuit. You're dealing with, as we know it, this is a possible felony. The good thing is it's a felony that occurred in Orange County and not L.A. County. So if it's a solid case, it will be vigorously prosecuted, down in Orange County. So that's another reason that they don't want to let it go.
The vehicle.
They'll just keep, continue. And now, as you can see, it looks like they've re-engaged it as well.
Right. Yeah. Now we're seeing a much more aggressive posture from the CHP, which there's a unit there pursuing the suspect. I wonder, at this point, they must be looking at this as a situation where they know that they've got to maybe tamp this down. And as you said, Sergeant, this is kind of their territory. This is their home turf kind of thing. This is the freeway. This is where they want this to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they may have got different, gotten in touch with possible witnesses and other things already too. We've let a lot of time go by. In the background, the dispatchers and the handling agencies are all doing different types of research and different types of interviews, and they may have more information now, and that could be why they re-engaged the pursuit. We'll just have to see where it goes now that they have re-engaged it.
Yeah, at this point, this driver going over 100 miles an hour. This is probably the closest we've seen CHP or any law enforcement really get for this amount of time, really on the tail of this driver, not only alerting other drivers,
look at
going right in the middle between
this could
lanes.
turn out really bad.
Man.
Riding on the shoulder right now. It looks like there's traffic in this area. This person's riding on the shoulder, and you have to wonder where that CHP patrol car is, right?
That was really,
that was especially dangerous.
Yeah, if there was no margin for error there. Those cars, he just drove between. Yeah, that was not. That's the problem. Is now you start to see this kind of behavior, right, Sergeant? And the CHP has to make a calculation. What do we do now? This driver, once again, from using their turn signal to stopping at stop signs to now these literally pulling up alongside inches. It looks like
going back to tracking mode.
Bigger gaps, but from our vantage point,
looks like inches from vehicle.
Yeah, and now you've got to make that calculation, right? Do we bring in more units? Do we pursue this more aggressively?
Yeah, and I couldn't tell for sure, but it almost looked like they may have backed off already. So it's pretty clear with this suspect that he really reacts quick to any lights and sirens behind him, and he really backs off and really takes it a lot slower when the units aren't behind him. So they may stick to that tactic just because it's been working so far.
That's a good point. Yeah, it's really like a knee-jerk reaction. Right now, the driver parked in traffic, not trying to weave through and try to get away. But the moment you see the pursuing,
every time lights and sirens come up behind this driver, they start driving erratically, very dangerous, putting other people's lives in jeopardy, and whoever else.
If it's a kidnapping, can the person just jump out?
But we always know that there is an air unit
at the red lights. Can they just jump out?
Even though they may back up, the ground units may, back up. That air unit knows exactly where this car is going. They will keep following it, and they want to make sure that they follow this to the very end.
It really is almost cartoonish in a way, like how the reaction to the police. Sergeant, you raised such a good point. It's like the minute they pull up, he just starts to blast off. The minute they pull back, he's like a normal driver.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying about how the different suspects react differently to different things, and clearly this driver just doesn't like the lights and sirens behind him and feels like that's where he has to push the limit. And so now, if they can keep it at this pace and these speeds and see if he gets back on the freeway again. But, right now he's back how he was acting earlier in Whittier, where he was just kind of driving around and just appears lost, not sure where to go. And
could have a weapon,
looking up in the air at the helicopters.
And obviously, as we've been talking about, it's pretty clear that it's not going to be hard unless there's no license plate there. But that could be part of the calculation too, is that they might know who this is already, right? And they may be sort of biding their time that way.
Yeah, they could, just based on the license plate, and then using the computer systems of police records and everything else, getting in contact with anybody that might have been associated with the car in the past, and trying to figure out, who is the driver, and see if they have any idea who the female might be, and try to figure out if they have a legitimate kidnapping or just some type of domestic situation.
Either way, at this point, this person has broken plenty of laws there. From evading officers, just whipping through those red lights, through the freeway here, coming up on the 710 South. We're hearing we have just a couple moments here with our helicopter, Sergeant O'Malley, and that can always be the case for news crews. But, with the air units up in the sky, they have multiple air units, multiple departments with air units, so no one's going to be losing this driver here.
Yeah, they're not going anywhere. The only issue, as he keeps going in this direction, if it ends up where he ends up in airport airspace, which, as you know, the news helicopters and police helicopters have to maneuver through that and around it. But outside of that, it's the same stuff we see every day when it comes to pursuits. If they decide to use a parking structure, use an apartment complex, whatever it is, and get out and run. But so far they've had multiple opportunities to get out and run, and they haven't taken advantage of that. So, at this point in time, it just feels like they're just trying to bide their last amount of time that they have and see where it goes from there.
And of course, we'll be keeping tabs on this, Sergeant O'Malley. We may have you back on in a little bit. We've got to refuel our chopper, unfortunately.
Well, all right, so I got News 11 up here.
Okay, we can.
We have a few more moments here before we have to take off. But again, if you're just joining us, this is a pursuit of a possible kidnapping suspect that has now been going for about an hour. We've been over it for about an hour. We know it started in South Orange County. We picked it up once this vehicle reached Whittier. So this thing has been going for much, much longer. We know, aside from the driver, there is a passenger.
Senator, thank you so much for the super chats. I'm sorry to hear about your friend Mel.
We're unsure of her connection to this driver at this point. Is she in danger? Is she not? Is she a part of this entire situation here? But it looks like that driver continuing to just evade officers. Anytime law enforcement comes behind this vehicle, they just speed off, zoom off, and make very dangerous maneuvers, whipping through lanes on the freeway, going in between vehicles here. But at this point, it looks like law enforcement has now backed up a bit, trying to control this situation, calm down the situation as this driver continues on the 710 North.
And Sergeant, as we look at this, and you pointed out so clearly, how, as Leslie just was saying too, how this driver reacts to the lights and sirens. Do you think it's gonna? Do you think it's? Why do you think he's not reacting the same way to the big floodlight pointed at his car? I mean, I know you're totally speculating here, but in that sense, he knows he's still being pursued, but for some reason, the lights and sirens on the ground seem to agitate him more than the light above him.
Yeah, it's hard to say. You don't know if these people are under the influence, if they're seeing things. You just don't know. The spotlight, doesn't light up the entire vehicle because you have the roof. So you have some light that's coming in on the windshield, but everything else is so tinted. Yeah. So it just may not affect them as much. And, there's nothing worse than red lights and sirens that are behind you.
That's true.
In all of your mirrors, and they're trying to chase you, and it kind of just forces you to push that pedal a little bit more. So right now it's in a good spot. They have it right where they need it, and they're just hoping that he runs out of gas pretty soon.
Right, and another thing too, we noticed they were using, electronic devices in the car. Were they trying to GPS themselves somewhere? Were they trying to communicate with someone outside of the car? Were they trying to call someone? Or maybe police are trying to, as you pointed out earlier, Leslie, maybe authorities or CHP or law enforcement agency somewhere is trying to talk to them on the phone.
Yeah, Sergeant O'Malley, many times law enforcement is able to get in contact with these suspects.
Yeah, and they may have all of the information that we're speculating about. Mm-hmm. So that could be explain, part of why they have backed off several times, why they haven't used a pit maneuver, why they haven't tried spike strips. I mean, it could explain all of that.
I appreciate that.
They're just looking out for the safety of the possible victim that is now inside with the suspect. When it comes down to that. So it could be, a very serious felony kidnapping case with a victim that's not known, and she just hasn't tried to escape.
I wonder if it's just two of them in the car, or is there someone in the backseat?
Inside the car, a weapon, threats, whatever it may be. So,
and that is just the danger of these situations. Sergeant O'Malley, we're going to have to let you go now, but we do thank you for your time. Our chopper has to go refuel as we have been over this pursuit.
All right, so we got Fox now. Let's leave here.
And what's interesting is
Bad audio.
the driver's not going into the Orange County area. So I don't know, perhaps the Orange County area is not the familiar area for this driver at all. But from what we understand, the pursuit started in Laguna Beach and then has moved up into the Orange County area. Okay, we're in a situation here where Sky Fox is...
No.
It's possible that we lost the car.
Wait, no way. What happened? Wait, who else? Is there any other people streaming this?
Crosses Imperial.
Oh, fuck. They all had to leave? Hold on. There's got to be somebody else out there. CBS, KCOP pulling out for fuel. NBC still overhead, I believe. Send me the link, Well, MST has good audio in the DM. Okay. We got NBC. Hold on. Okay. Here we go. All right, we're good. We're good. Perfect.
A very dangerous situation. If indeed there's a child inside this vehicle, the speeds and the near misses that we have seen now for the better part of about 2 hours definitely doesn't bode well for the people inside this vehicle, especially that child. So we just hope that this comes to a peaceful end, a calm end, where if indeed there is a child inside that vehicle, that no one is injured.
Wow. Oh.
And we've tried to see inside that front windshield, and there's just not enough light to actually see inside there just yet. So we're now transitioned to the northbound 605 approaching Firestone. Still at about 65, 70 miles per hour. And we were talking about the fact that this was a small little, compact vehicle, a two-seater, and the fact that, who knows how much fuel, how much gas this vehicle has. I mean, it's a smaller vehicle. It may be a very fuel economic vehicle, if you will, and may get just absolute great gas mileage. We just don't know, but definitely since this kidnapping suspect, since this all originated apparently in Laguna Beach, we just don't know how much fuel this vehicle has and whether or not they started out with a fuel tank of gas or a half a tank, but we will see. We continue to follow it here on the 605 freeway. Now picking up speeds 80, 85 miles per hour. And let's see what the impetus is. There you go, right there. That CHP patrol vehicle has lit up. And now we got two patrol vehicles closing in on this vehicle. And that has prompted the driver to start to accelerate now. 85 miles per hour on the 605 freeway. So we're hearing scanner traffic that at some point they're going to attempt a spike. We don't know where that's going to happen, when that's going to happen, so you will probably be watching that real time here, just like us, as they see the deployment of that spike strip. And
hauling ass. What?
They are radioing ahead to other divisions to try and get that spike strip deployed in a place where they think this vehicle is going to be. So you just saw a juke right there, trying to juke the officers into thinking they were going to get off the freeway. They stayed on the freeway. It's a pretty common tactic amongst people that are trying to elude police or law enforcement capture. Of course, CHP not falling for that. They've this isn't their first rodeo, so they're staying right on the heels of this vehicle as they weave their way through traffic.
Impressive.
Here on the 605 freeway, just passing Washington, I believe.
This is wild. This is crazy.
So we are approaching the Whittier area, or in the Whittier area right now. Not sure if Whittier police is going to re-engage. Maybe exiting right now. See, getting off the freeway.
Oh.
At Whittier Boulevard.
Oh, traffic though. Oh.
Got a little bit of traffic right here as they squeeze through past all this traffic. So they exit at the 605 at Whittier. Let's see which direction they go.
Yeah, what's the vigilante driver when you need him, right?
Whittier Boulevard.
Ooh.
And they're going eastbound now on Whittier. And again, absolutely no plan whatsoever this driver has. No real discernible direction of travel, just going in circles, getting on the freeway, back off the freeway, and then back on the freeway again. And remember, this originated in Orange County, so it's quite possible they have absolutely no idea what city they're in or know any of the streets. They're just trying to elude capture right now. But of course, doing it in a very dangerous way. So in a residential area right now in Whittier. Now making a left-hand turn, looks like on Glen Cannon Drive. Another left-hand turn. It looks like Rincon Drive. And no officers behind.
What is it? Do they have a destination?
But you can see the airship up above. They still have that night sun on this vehicle right now. So when you're talking about an air asset that has the night sun and is directly over here, there's just really not very many opportunities for someone that they're pursuing to get away. Now pulling over to the curb on Glengarry Avenue in Whittier, blacking out.
They're getting out?
Doors open.
Like
out
nothing?
Of the vehicle, looks like a male subject carrying a bag. What? Come back over the other way. I think okay, it looks like there's somebody on the passenger side.
Another angle.
I don't see anyone else getting out. We're going to try and get past this building.
What the heck?
Okay. Okay, on foot. Foot bailing.
She kidnapped.
Both running at the same time into a building here right at the corner of Glengarry and C Drive. And what is this? Some sort of commercial building. And this might be it right here because the Aero Bureau is right overhead. And unless they know this building or have access into this building, there's just absolutely no way. Okay, so they do have access. They have an open door. There's an open door on this building, so it looks like they made access through that open door right there. And so that is going to create a situation where now all officers have to do is come in, set up a perimeter to prevent those individuals from escaping.
I
We
thought it was
saw
a kidnapping.
2 people run from the vehicle. We could not tell the age or sex of the other individual, but the driver was very clearly a male subject. Wearing light green.
What the heck? What?
Light green colored jacket and carrying a backpack of some type. And it looks like these individuals are pointing to police in a different direction here. Let's see here. Pull out of the shot here a little bit. As they close in on the area and try and search for these individuals that bolted from that vehicle.
Wow. There's people standing outside.
So you have people coming out of this commercial building here who very clearly probably work there or at least belong there, who are now trying to point out to law enforcement where these individuals might be on the premises.
Right, imagine that. I'm just trying to get to work on time.
So this is the parking lot of the Travel Inn Motel at the corner of Glengarry and C Drive.
Like nothing. After all that wild driving, just get out like, casually walk inside.
And I don't see it. There was some patrol vehicles in the area. I don't see them now. And this looks like they're to the east. Okay.
Blend in. What are they doing over there? Setting up planning? Why are they over there?
So it looks like we might have a suspect in custody. We're trying to get around here and see.
Who's that guy?
So it looks like we have a suspect in custody here.
Oh. I don't understand what's like the mentality of these people.
So there were two people who ran from the vehicle. It looks like at least they have one person right now
Looks
in
like
handcuffs.
CHP placed one suspect in custody. Oh, there's somebody out right there. Got the camera in his face too.
As they walk this into, this is the male suspect or the male subject that they're walking over to this Whittier patrol vehicle right now, but we did not see the second suspect. There were two individuals who actually ran from the vehicle. And so far we have not seen the second subject that bolted from that vehicle.
No. Oh.
So they've got the male driver of this pursuit vehicle in the back of this police car right now. And as I pull out of the shot here, it's not clear whether or not they have the other individual. And I'm hearing now they have both in custody.
Both in custody?
So we're hearing radio traffic that both are in custody.
Both in custody.
Again, this all started in Laguna Beach, probably a little better than 2 hours ago, as a reported possible kidnapping. And what we were hearing was it was a possible kidnapping subject with possibly the kidnapped victim, a child, a juvenile, in the vehicle as well. And so the vehicle left the Orange County area with CHP in tow behind it. It came into the LA County area, traversing a number of different freeways. It was on the 605, it was on the 5, it was on the 105, the 710, on the surface streets, on a number of different communities, and then finally getting off the freeway and ending up right here on Glengarry and Whittier Boulevard here in the Whittier area. And we understand now we have two individuals in custody right now, the driver of the pursuit vehicle and quite possibly the child. It's unclear exactly whether or not it was indeed a child or another perpetrator or perhaps another kidnapper, because we saw both individuals run from the vehicle. So we just don't know the situation. Of course, we will effort to try and find out all the information that we possibly can and bring you all of that information on the Channel 4 News tonight. And if you'll just stand by, I'm going to see what the assignment desk would like for us to do. What's that? Okay. Assignment desk, News Chopper 4. Assignment desk, News Chopper 4 on the 450.
Oh, is that it?
On the 161.
Anticlimactic, I
Yes,
guess.
M&S, we have both individuals in custody right now. What would you like at this point?
Well, at least nobody was hurt. They could have killed somebody or killed themselves.
Yeah. Actually, I should add, we need to get fuel.
Oh.
That's negative. Wasn't able to capture the second suspect. I stayed with the driver because from all indications, it looks like they split up at some point. So I was only able to get the driver. Okay, headed back. All right, folks. That's going to conclude our coverage of this pursuit, a very long pursuit, not as long as we've seen some here in the LA County area. I'm rolling.
Well, I guess that's it. I'll try to find an update tomorrow if they update the story and give some details as to what happened. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. All right. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming through. Thank you for all the support too and well wishes. Thank you for the super chats. Welsh Dragon, thank you for gifting the 5 memberships. Dr. Edward Moskowitz, thank you for the super chats as well. Appreciate you guys. So good night. Maybe I'll catch you later if there's another chase or tomorrow. Bye.